Welcome, everyone. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day, week, and end of year. I know everyone's got a lot of holiday shopping and other things to go and do, so we appreciate you joining us to talk about something we're really excited about, which is the release of Fay Agent Builder 2.0. So before we get into everything, just want to do some quick introductions of who you're going to be hearing from on the call. My name's Dan Hawvermale, for those of you who don't know me. I've been with Fay for over half a decade now. And prior to that, I was actually spent 4 years over at SugarCRM and have been really excited to work with a lot of the folks here over at Fay on what we're doing in the AI space. And we'll talk a little bit about our journey in a second. But before I do, want to have Sean introduce himself, and then David, who you're going to be hearing from as well.
Hi there, everyone. Sean here from Fay, senior consultant. Been working with SugarCRM now for many, many years, and I worked very closely with the team in developing this fab product, so super excited about today.
Awesome.
Great. And hi, everyone. David Pascale here, Senior Director of Data and AI. Been in a number of spaces related to everything from BI to contact center, CX space, to dynamically pricing, vacation rentals, to conversational AI. So kind of all across the gamut. But excited to share what we've been working on with you.
So you're the reason my Airbnb was so expensive this holiday season, huh?
Yep. Sorry about that, Dan.
Okay.
Got to make money somehow.
At least you're doing it for the good guys now. All right. Well, one thing I wanted to talk about, because I thought it was relevant before we jump in here, is just a little bit about our AI journey. We're going to talk about your all's AI journey as well. Ours started quite a long time ago. I like to say we were doing AI before it was cool. And what I mean by that is all the way back in 2020, we were working with, at the time, the leading providers of AI on the customer experience side, which were platforms like Ada and Ultimate. And when everyone went away during COVID and had to shut down, customers got tons and tons of inquiries coming in. So they adopted a lot of these, what were at the time what we call deterministic chatbots. So if you've ever built a flow that has Boolean logic that says if and then, you had to create all of these different things to determine where it was going to flow in the conversation. It was incredibly tedious. And quite frankly, it wasn't really that good unless you followed the exact flow of the questions you had set up. Just about a year and a half later, ChatGPT hit the scene, had 100 million users in 9 days, and really changed the world forever. And that's when things really started progressing quickly. And we ourselves built our first generative AI plugin just 3 months after the release of ChatGPT with a hackathon that we did internally. And then since then, you can see we've been doing a host of things across the AI spectrum, really enabling our team for how this is going to change work forever. One of the critical things I think we did, it was early on, we got training for the entire organization from our partners Section.ai, which is Scott Galloway's school for AI training. And now we have over 95% of the org certified in AI. So when we go and talk to other folks in other departments, even things like this came from folks having kind of a baseline understanding of AI and how it can apply in their jobs internally, but also for our clients and prospects like yourselves. So we're super excited to show you all the new things that we have in Fab. We released version 1 just a few months ago and already have a number of customers leveraging the platform today. A lot of the things you're going to see today came from client feedback that we've received from a lot of these early customers and prospects we've been working with. Super excited to show you guys what we've done today. As always, when you're working with Fay, we work in a ton of highly regulated environments in financial services, in the government, and in healthcare. So everything you see here is SOC compliant, HIPAA compliant, and all running within Sugar or our own secure cloud. All right, so now on to the fun part. We want to talk about your AI journey. So one, we want to test if the chat is working to make sure you have a chance to communicate with us. So go ahead and put on your chat, where do you all think you are in your AI journey? You can respond 1 through 5 here, or you can just select one of these as part of that there too. Getting started, basic, okay. Just starting out, expanding, okay, that's great. That's great. So this is where we want to take our clients, right? Is up on this journey and really getting to the point where AI is a critical part of their business and really expansive across the entire organization, but helping everyone do their jobs better. And I think That's what we think about kind of first and foremost is how do we be a Sherpa for our clients to help them up this mountain in their journey? And how do we take them from just starting out, maybe not even fully understanding what AI solutions are out today, to getting it in the hands of folks, getting a basic understanding, all the way to utilizing and then eventually using it something that is a game changer for your organization, differentiator for you as a company, and protecting you and from competitors in your space that are also utilizing this type of technology. So keep this in mind when you're thinking about where you are in your journey today. We'll talk a little bit about why we think it's important to leverage these types of tools. From all the research we're seeing, from how fast the space is moving, from how quickly tools are being built in the space to help either transform entire industries or entire use cases or roles. A lot of the research now is showing from PwC and others that half of businesses that don't embrace AI by 2026, which lo and behold is now right around the corner, are expected to really start falling behind and struggling to survive as they continue their growth path. So even though this isn't necessarily something that you may be seeing immediately today, because the speed and rate at which this is moving, clients that we already have are getting significant gains around efficiency and really ability to take action and automate things across the entire organization. So these are just a few stats, again, that we like to talk about. I won't go over each one of these in details, but when it comes to revenue teams specifically, 72% of the time of salespeople is still spent not selling. It's updating systems, doing call notes, writing emails, going through emails, creating quotes, looking inside of external systems like ERP systems or order management systems. And what we've seen even from our own customers is really 25 to 30% gains in terms of efficiency, getting to be faster in terms of response times, follow-ups, and across the board from our clients as well. We're seeing folks adopt AI in certain business segments and certain other areas. So what we want to talk about today is kind of our flywheel for AI and how we see you being able to adopt AI quickly, but really make it a critical part of your organization. And I wanted to give David Pascale just a quick chance to talk about this because he's intimately involved with a lot of our clients in this overall flywheel and some of the other things outside of what we're going to be talking about today.
Thanks, Dan. So as Dan mentioned, I think it really comes down to three categories of things that you should be prepared for any AI project in order to drive that success. Number one is going to be education. So that's why we partner with companies like Section and others to facilitate training and help get people on the same level. And so a lot of the training and materials that you'll see out there are very, very focused on more of the tech side of it. What we're seeing now is this demand for getting business people and business applications up and running. So that's a critical piece to make sure everyone is working on the same playing field with AI. Secondarily, you want to have a strategy. So you have to have an understanding of what are you trying to get out of AI. There's a McKinsey report that 95% of AI projects fail. And that's mainly because right now people are just exploring, they're testing, they're trying things out, but they may not necessarily know exactly what they're looking to drive with AI at the moment. So having a strategy and an understanding is very critical. And that's why we offer things like workshops. So we can sit down together, isolate what are the things that are going to be great for your business to utilize AI in, what are going to be the things where it doesn't necessarily apply, and then have an actual tactical outcome there that's very, very important for you to understand in the next 30, 60, 90 days. What should we be doing to hit the ground running? And what does our overall 6 to 12 month transformation pipeline look like in terms of policies that we need in place, people that we need owning different projects, and actually the measurement that we're doing for that output? And then lastly, there's the expertise. You need someone who knows the technologies, who can help deploy it, whether that's a third-party partner like the ones we work with in the CX and CRM space, like SugarCRM, or if that's actually bringing in someone to help you fill in those gaps of AI knowledge, to help you build a vector database or an MCP server, or all kinds of different acronyms that I can throw at you. And that's things like our fractional AI officer, where we have basically someone joining your team for a portion of the time who's helping fill that role and get you ready for that transformation. It's AI tools that we can bring to the forefront to recommend and bring to the table to help out, like a agent builder that will have Sean walk you through in a bit. And then it's one-off project help. If you have specific projects that you need additional resources, you're at a certain breaking point and you want to get over the hump, we can provide services for that. So that's exactly the AI flywheel in a nutshell, is the education, the strategy, and the expertise you need to find success in those projects.
Awesome. Thank you so much, David. If anyone I've mentioned has any questions, please don't hesitate to put them down in the chat. We want to keep this collaborative, and especially if they're hard questions, David's going to be manning the chat. So those are all going to go to him. Which will be great. David's been a great resource since he's joined Fay and really helped us take our AI services as well as our products to the next level. So while we're going to be really just talking about the dark green section today in Fab, please reach out to your client advisors if you're curious about broader AI strategy, questions, enablement for your team, things that are across other departments outside of the revenue team. All right. So what is Fab? It's the $1 million question. Although I see a lot of you already on today who are already either Fab customers or are utilizing Fab today already. But for those of you who don't know, Fab lets Sugar really create customized AI agents that are tailored for your business. And that can mean a number of things, but they're really tailored by role or task to be able to access any module inside of Sugar or even pull out external information, which we're going to see today. And all of that's available right inside of the Sugar UI and doesn't require any development to configure or launch agents. I myself have even launched a few, and so have the folks on my team. We're excited to get this in the hands of other folks. A lot of the feedback, again, that we've gotten and some of the releases have come from our clients going in and creating their own agents and then asking, what they can do afterwards. So some of the key features inside of Fab, we try to kind of bucket them into these general areas. If I listed every feature that we had out, it'd be a much longer demo. But when we talk about it from the perspective of building your AI agents, which is as simple as going in and just like you'd configure a field, selecting a name, maybe a nice icon, a mission that they're going to go on, any behaviors you want them to take, and then choosing your model, which if that sounds frightening because there's hundreds of them out there, that's something we walk folks through all the time. And you'd be surprised how quickly these models are competing with each other and getting better and better every single day. So having the ability to choose from a number of them is a great way to make sure that you're accessing the top information for the task that you're using it for. Some are better at searching the web. Others are better at looking at really, really large pieces of numerical data. Then you're going to choose where you're going to place your agent, right? Where does this agent need to live to deliver the most value to your organization, the people are using it, right? Maybe on the accounts module, maybe inside of a custom module, or anywhere else inside of Sugar that you have today. Then we talk about the control. Control is important, right? Some of you, I know I'm looking on the call here, have had Sugar for 10 plus years, right? Running a query on 10 years of data might not be necessary, right? At sometimes it might be necessary if you want to run a historical analysis on everything that's happened with them in the last 10 years to see progress. But most of the time, we probably just want to see what's gone on in the last year. And maybe even more recently, if it's a really, really active client, I don't want even all of that noise, which we'll talk about the actual amount of noise that's being created. Maybe I want something that's like a week or 2 weeks as part of that too. And then using the actual agents themselves, being again, right inside of Sugar, being able to view the most recent analysis that any of the agents have done without having to rerun them makes it really easy to come in and just get a quick snapshot. Now, as we're going to see too, we're able to use these actual analysis done by these agents, whether it's from external sources or from Sugar data, to trigger things inside of workflows or to potentially batch a number of records so they already have analysis done on them, or that it's taking action on those things as well, and even writing information back to native fields. So when we talk about what's new in Fab, for those of you who are already using Fab, this will be exciting. We're going to be able to show, and what we're doing today is batch updating records in list views, potentially asking a query of Fab across a number of records so that when I come in, all of that is already done on all of my leads or all of my accounts. And then potentially batch updating records to do an analysis and then showing how that's now driving a workflow to update native fields inside of the record maybe from a reporting perspective, or we're going to show one of the use cases we've been working on with one of our top clients around sentiment as well. We've also released 9 new out-of-the-box agents that come with the platform. So I believe we're up to 12 or 13 now. And those are really great because they're tried and true. They're used internally by us. They're used with some of our top customers who have then taken and tweaked these. And we've really just gotten feedback from working with our own teams and clients around what's important to them across the different modules and the different areas that they live as part of that too. All right. So when we talk about these agents, we like to think of them and kind of bucket them into personas. Now, this isn't necessarily like for like. In your organization's sales and customer success may function as one account management organization, or you may have other roles like BDR and things like that in the revenue organization that are going out and calling. But we bucket these out as ways that these help the folks that are doing their job every single day. In the sales side, we have a battle card agent, for example, that will go out and research your top competitors in an opportunity, research and look at the opportunity itself, and start to see, oh my gosh, how do we compare and how are we going to win? What can we be doing better against these competitors as part of it? On the customer success side, we have everything from basic summarization of accounts and then moving beyond summarization to doing actual external research on who we can potentially be contacting additionally besides who we work with today, bringing in information, again, to native fields on things like sentiment, contacts, and information like LinkedIn profiles and things like that that we might not have today. And last but not least, helping our support teams do things like automated case summaries, as well as potentially scheduling calls for folks and reaching out to other records as part of that as well. Let us know in the chat. Obviously, there's a lot of agents here. If there's anyone that's very interesting by the title for you all, we're not going to show all of them today, but if you do put in the chat, I think there's a chance we may take some extra attention to it. And again, anything that we don't get to today, please don't hesitate to go ask your client advisor to do a deeper dive demo with you as well. We're really just going to scratch the surface in the time that we do have to be able to go through and talk through the agents here. So this is the agent we're going to go over first. And this is the agent I also tell all of our clients to start with. That last slide, I think, can feel a little overwhelming of where do I start? Where do I start getting value? Do I need to develop my own custom agent to roll out across the team? The answer is no. There is a ton of value in what we call just the account activity avalanche. If you're just a normal sales rep managing one account, right, and they have 4 or 5 calls in a month, 3 or 4 meetings in a month, a number of cases or opportunities that they have, with my assistance of my AI friends, I actually calculated how many actual words that is when we're talking about things that are coming over from a transcript, how much time that takes to actually go through. And it produces almost 100 pages worth of text. So you can imagine the anxiety of a sales rep, especially maybe one that just got back from 2 weeks of vacation, or someone who just took over an account because someone went on maternity or paternity leave, to really come up to speed on that account and understand what are the key insights that we have. We're very fortunate now as revenue leaders that we're able to suck in a ton of data into our CRMs. So 2 of the ways that we do that internally is our Zoom AI integration or any CTI integration, computer telephony integration, that's going to bring in every call record. So now we're storing every single call that we have, every single transcript that we have with the customers we're interacting with. That's great, but that's a lot of data. We do the same thing with a company we partner with called Spiky. Some of you may be familiar with Gong or Chorus or Fathom, any of these AI note takers that you see joining your webinar or joining your webinars or joining on your Zoom calls. They're really great about capturing data and summarizing meetings and even pushing over entire transcripts. But at the end of the day, it's just more and more data that we have to go through as an account manager here. So when you add all this up, it is great to have all this insight, but to then have the ability to have all of this summarized into a clean, easy to view area, and then someone that will actually take it and suggest insights on the account makes all the difference in the world between having information overload and insights. All right, so now we're going to take a look at actually what that looks like inside of Sugar today. So as you can see, we're inside of the record of one of our customers here, Tyson Foods. If I'm an account executive, I'm looking in and I want to know, again, all the things that we get to glean from looking at a sugar record, which is amazing, all the things that pop out at us. And on the right-hand side, we have our Fab agents. And we have a number of the agents that we saw on the previous screen there. The account pulse agent, which is really more of a quick pulse we're going to talk about in a little bit. That's just if we want to do maybe a check of what happened in the last week or 2 weeks. Our relationships intelligence agent, which is going to show us who do we have good relationships with by looking at all the communications and who do we have poor relationships with. And then what's exciting for me and was always tough for me when managing larger accounts is who should I have a relationship, right? Based on the opportunity I'm working, based on the products that I have, I want to know who I should go call next at a 5,000 person organization. That can take a lot of time and a lot of energy. Having the AI do that work for me, or at least suggesting 3 or 4 people to reach out to is great. For those of you who do QBRs, quarterly business review, I know it's more common in the technology space, but think about anytime you're meeting with your clients on an annual basis to do a review of what they've done with you for the year. And you want to research where they are in the market. What have they been doing in their 10K? How has what we've been doing marry up to that and their key initiatives and what we can do? That can be hours and hours of research that is then cut out and then having to marry all of that with all of the great things we may have done with them, sold them thousands of products, had hundreds of meetings about previous initiatives over the course of a year. And then our account summary that we have here, which is what I talked about, which is really that activity avalanche, right? As we can see at the bottom, we have tons and tons of calls and meetings. I've seen records where this is in the hundreds for clients that we have as part of that. So what Fab does on the right-hand side is it not only profiles this company here, but it gives us a really detailed view of their engagement, all the things that have happened in sequential order, just at a very high level, so that we can get an understanding of what's going on. Can even quickly summarize whether the tasks that we have are open or closed. It's going to summarize their historical revenue, pulling from other modules like products sold or subscriptions, anything like that. And then it's looking at their support and health. So very quickly able to see that, oh, there still is one open support case that I have with them. And then what it's going to do is it's actually going to take some leaps and it's going to suggest some things that might be risks or opportunities inside of the accounts. And then what are the best next steps to actually do about it? So if I'm a new rep at the organization, for me, this is huge. I just came into the organization. This has been a customer for 3 or 4 years. There's a lot of historical information in here. I'm able to come up to speed quickly and then also get suggestions on what's going to be the best thing to do as a next best action inside of the account. And where am I risking losing this account or losing revenue over the next few months? Great. So now we're going to move on to one of my favorite agents, something that's always a challenge in orgs that have lots and lots of SKUs and products, or really any client that has had lots of orders over time. If I'm coming in, I want to quickly know what are the product history insights. So as we can see on the right-hand side, Fab is able to pull in information from the product sold records, potentially from an external ERP if needed, or data warehouse that maybe is not stored inside of Sugar, and then is able to categorize that by and summarize it by particular product groups or things that might be insightful for me, and then give me some interesting analysis around things like products that may be underutilized or things I should be selling based on their buying habits, or again, doing external research on that particular account. What type of business are they in? What cycle are they in? Are they seasonal? All of those things taken into consideration, and then looking at our own product set and their product history to give great recommendations. Again, as a new account executive, as a new AE, even as a manager that wants to go look at a few of my key customers here and have an educated conversation with them or my account executives about it, this lets me come up to speed quickly, and it lets me glean the insights from what could be tens of thousands of records inside of the system. All right. So now that we've looked at one account like this is all great information. If I wanted to run the latest of this, I can just click this button and view the latest. If I wanted to run a brand new account summary, I can just click Ask Fab here, and it's going to start running that in the background as we talk about what we're doing at this account. What if I want to run this on every single one of my top customers. This was one of the top requests that we came in. Hey, this information's great. We want to know information across all of our top 100 customers, or maybe all of our customers, so that when our AEs log in the morning, this is refreshed daily or weekly, or I'm able to do a specific agent that looks at analysis on maybe my just top 10 customers. So now what we're able to do inside of Fab is we're able to just view in any old regular list view. So I built a filter here that just looks at my couple specific of my good accounts in good standing here. And what we're able to do is go in and select all of these, and then we can now ask Fab. So when we ask Fab, what we can do inside of that there too is run a particular agent that we have already installed. And in this case, we're going to run the account pulse agent, which is that smaller agent we had talked about, across all of these records. And the reason we're going to do that is we've actually built a very simple workflow that anyone on this call could do, no coding required, that's going to do a few actions from the data it gets back. So one of the other great things about Fab, and of course Sugar in general, is now that I've ran this, I can actually see just right here inside of the focus drawer, the actual Fab information. So again, one of the things we set up in the background to do in a regular workflow process definition was when this account pulse check is run, whether it's from an individual record or from a batch record like I just did there, we're going to update an account based off of that. We're then inside of that account pulse, it's going to check the client's sentiment. And check the sentiment. It's going to look through everything and see if there's negative interactions, positive interactions, things that have been missed, requests, anything that might put that account at risk. And then it's going to determine, is it positive, neutral, or negative? If it falls into that negative bucket, what we're then going to have it do is trigger an email that goes out to the director of sales, maybe one of the other executives of the company, to let them know one of our top 10 accounts now has negative sentiment. So what we're able to do is automate the process. And while I'm sure we'd love to trust every account executive on our teams, sometimes they don't have all the insights, right? And there's other people communicating with. And while they may mark the account in good standing, we want to let the AI automate all of this work to then determine, hey, is this really okay? Or because there's 3 open cases and 2 calls that were pretty negative from a sentiment perspective, maybe this client needs some extra attention. So now when I go back into Tyson Foods here, I can see Fab has actually taken this and updated a native field inside of Sugar from the information that it's gleaned. So it's actually pushed this entire account pulse in, and it's changed the Fab sentiment score to neutral here because there was a few calls that weren't that great and there's still a few open tickets. So it's not negative, but it's not in good standing like the AE had marked here. So I may, as a manager, want to go through and look and say, hey, look, you had this as good standing, but it looks like the AI marked this as neutral. There's a few things going on. Is there anything I can help with? Is there anything we can do as an organization here? Now that these things are updated here, the sky is really the limit. So we have folks that are taking and adding in things on different modules. They're taking insights about next steps, next product to sales, and updating native fields in Sugar, using that to trigger tasks, using that to trigger workflows. Or now I can go in and I can take a look and say, hey, show me any account that is marked in good standing, but doesn't have a positive standing on here. And I want to go and reconcile all of those. So I can now report on the things that the AI generates right inside of Sugar natively. So now we're just going to show how Fab interacts in a few other modules here as well. So this is on an opportunity record. So the first thing I want to do after I figure out my account's neutral, not good, is check on that most recent opportunity, right? So if I have a large opportunity with them, one of my favorite things to do as an account executive when I was mid-stage in any opportunity was get some social proof, right? Which is, what are some other clients like this client, maybe in their industry, in their same type of use case that we're trying to sell them and things like that. And let's share some things that we've done great with them before. Well, I've been at organizations prior to this, like Oracle, where we had hundreds, maybe even thousands of different use cases and case studies blog posts and other things that we had done before. Having to go sift through all of that and find the perfect one to send to them was always a challenge, and something I spent a lot of time doing, because I was only going to send them 2 or 3, figured they're probably only going to read one of them. I want to make sure it's the best one. Now the AI can, again, go look at the opportunity, what we're selling them, can go research the company. And then we have this now tied into our own website and also to our own SharePoint instance to go pull all of our case studies, do some analysis, and determine what is going to be the best thing to help me close this opportunity. For me as a rep, this is huge because it literally lets me go and copy paste into an email what I think are going to be the best things to help me close this. So it's found the perfect match, which is ProMac, who's a global leader in packaging and machinery solutions that has very similar use case to Tyson Foods for what I'm trying to sell to them. Again, I mentioned earlier, we have the battle card agent, or again, just this summary agent. If I don't want a summary of a year-long activity on an account, I'm taking over this account, I just want to know the summary for what's happened at this opportunity. I can get that as well. Last but not least, we're going to talk about Fab inside of contacts and accounts. This is one of the things that surprised me. I've been using tools like Zoom Info and Clay and Sales Intel that we pay tons and tons of money for to go and find information on the web about particular contacts, their information and things like that too. Now AI is incredible at scraping information and bringing that back in to either augment what I may already have from one of those data providers, or if one of those data providers is too expensive or isn't available in real time, I'm able to pull that back in. One of the other things that AI is able to do, it's very interesting, is not only just give contextual information, but make some assumptions based off that information and history of what these people's interests might be. What are some ways to relate to them, some things that they're interested in? So I can go beyond knowing that someone works at a particular company, but knowing they went to a particular school and that they're posting about AI research or something to bring up on a call. We have clients that are now bringing this information directly over into their Sugar records that are using this to drive email campaigns and a whole host of other things. See a question in the chat. Can we limit agents available on specific records or by users? Yes, absolutely. So this is one of the things that we took in mind coming from the CRM side, is we wanted to make sure we had controls around everything so that we can have visibility into what folks are doing, but also lock things down, right? We probably don't want to give every person the ability to go and create an AI agent themselves. We probably want to have an admin or someone else, or maybe a revenue leader, walk through and then push that template out to the team. Now we're going to show just how easy that is to do. As you can see, that just looks like any other Sugar record. So we're now in the actual agent editor. As you can see, I can mark whether this is active or inactive is here. I can decide which module that it's on and I'll lock it down only to that module. I can then decide which records we want to look at. I think this is huge because a lot of systems out there are just looking at a single set of records. We can look at any single module. So if I come in here and I see that I also want to look at campaigns, maybe coming from Sugar Market or from another external email provider, I can go and do that. If I want this to actually go out and search the web, in addition to just the records inside of SugarCRM, I can also do that here to do some of those great things we talked about, researching what the company itself is doing, what some of the contacts are doing, things like that. All of this, you don't need to be a developer on. And even if this seems overwhelming, again, we walk you through your first few agents, how we build these. We have a ton of them out of the box that add value with just a tiny bit of tweaking. Will be something that your AEs and AMs will love to use on a daily basis. So with that, I know we're almost at time here. I did want to give Sean just a second to talk about his perspective. Sean's been working with SugarCRM for, well, I don't want to age him now. He's probably as old as me, but for quite a long time, and was really instrumental in Fab itself. So Sean, you want to talk a little bit about kind of how Fab came into conception and just how you're using it with your clients today?
Thanks, Dan. I don't think I'm quite as old as you, but yeah. So as Dan mentioned, after nearly 10 years of Sugar implementations, one pattern has always been kind of really impossible to ignore, honestly, and that is a adoption. Everyone on this call will know the key success measure of any implementation, but especially a CRM implementation, is how well is it adopted amongst the team. So we found that adoption doesn't really fail because people don't understand the system. That's not really the problem. It starts to fail when the system feels more like admin than real work. And we see that when that happens, people really stop updating the system. And it's not out of any kind of bad intent, right? It's really just because they're busy, right? And as everybody knows, every minute of the day is prioritized. You do what you need to do next. And adding information into a CRM can fall down that prioritization list pretty quickly. So that's really a start of a vicious circle, right? Decisions start to move out of the CRM, notes live in inboxes, calls are in people's heads, and that context, which is really, really, really core to this, that context gets lost. And over time, that data drifts, and everybody knows this problem, right? It's a real pain, and it's kind of the biggest problem that any consultant or implementation expert is looking to solve, right? So that's the pain. And in the past, we've tried to fix this with having long conversations with sales teams, detailing workflows, implementing required fields, training rules, right? And they do help, and there's a place for them. But at the end of the day, they don't change the experience of the people doing the work. You're still asking users to input data in return for something that would come down the road in the future, maybe, or for the benefit of somebody else. And that immediate value return isn't there. So Fab uses the information people enter to give that value back immediately. And creating that loop keeps a CRM accurate and keeps adoption high. So when the system gives something back in the moment, that's when we see that behavior actually changes. And this is where Fab was born from. It wasn't born from us brainstorming how can we jump on an AI bandwagon. It really came from in the trenches, delivering projects, working with customers, and understanding how can we get SugarCRM to be the best tool it can be. And it came down to adoption, and how do we get people using the system every day and making it a tool that they couldn't do their job without. And we believe that Fab really does provide that. So just to close up, we're not replacing good CRM design here. We're really just trying to make it, stick for users in the real world. So Dan, I'll hand back to you on that.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean. I don't think we have a ton of time for questions. I appreciate everyone being in the chat here. If you do have any questions, I'm happy to stay on for another couple of minutes here. But really the best thing you can do is reach out to your client advisor, or if you're not a customer yet, feel free to reach out on our website or ping us directly here. And we're more than happy to get you a detailed demo. We are running right now a 30-day trial for any of our Axia clients to be able to go in and create their first few agents and start to realize the value inside of Sugar. What modules can this work with inside of Sugar? The question was any module inside of Sugar. We can deploy a Fab agent. And even if you're on just an account record and you want to suck in any custom module you've made or any other module, you have the ability to do that. Great. I think that was all of our, how technical is the agent setup? The agent setup is really, really quite simple. And I know that because we've even had account executives and others go in and create their own agents or tweak agents based on the responses that they've gotten. And a lot of times those are not the most technical folks as part of that. Everything's drag and drop. Everything is, and really just feels like you're inside of Sugar's native UI. So if you can create a field or update a record, you can more than easily create an agent.
And I saw there was also, can you integrate with other sources outside of SugarCRM? So the answer is absolutely. If you have other sources that we need to bring in or augment with your SugarCRM data, definitely something that we can also leverage that data in there.
100%. That was what one of the agents was showing, was reaching out to SharePoint, where we had a bunch of our case studies and things like that, but we can reach out to a number of systems to pull in data and then augment that with the existing data you have inside of Sugar. Cool. Well, I know we're over time here. Thank you all so much for joining, taking time out of your busy days. Please give us more feedback. If there's something you want to see Fab do, if there's something you want to see in the AI space in general that we're either not doing with Sugar or doing today, reach out to your client advisor and let's get started on it. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful holiday and hopefully talk soon.